The engine sputtered to life just as the last rays of sunlight vanished behind the hills. Elijah Carter, a once successful black entrepreneur, now teetering on the edge of bankruptcy, gripped the steering wheel with one hand and wiped sweat from his brow with the other. He had stopped on the roadside to change a flat tire, cursing his luck when three men in dark suits surrounded his car. "Are you sure you haven't seen a blonde woman pass by here?" Maybe asked for directions. The tallest of them inquired, his gaze narrowing as he leaned closer to the car window. Elijah kept his expression calm and his hands visible. "No, sir. Like I said, just fixing a flat. Haven't seen anyone." The man's eyes scanned the interior of Elijah's aging sedan, lingering on the worn leather seats and the cracked dashboard. After a moment of tense silence, he finally stepped back, and the three men walked away. Elijah let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. From the trunk came a soft voice. "Are they gone?" Before Elijah could answer, the trunk lid creaked open from within. Out climbed a woman, blonde hair disheveled, her high-end athletic wear caked in mud. She looked like someone who had never faced real danger until today. "Thank you," she said, her voice low but sincere. "If you hadn't hidden me, I don't know what they would have done." Elijah blinked at her, still processing the situation. 3 hours earlier, he'd been in his defunct tech startup's office, staring at an eviction notice and a mountain of unpaid bills. 7 years of sweat and sacrifice, undone because of investors who ghosted him the moment they learned the founder was black. "Who were they?" he asked as she climbed into the back seat. "My father's private security," she replied, offering her hand. "My name is Evelyn Whitmore, but you can call me Eve." "Elijah Carter," he responded, shaking her hand warily. "Why would your father's security team be chasing you like you stole a national secret?" He gave a dry chuckle. "Because I did." From her jacket, she pulled out a flash drive. "My father is Harold Whitmore, CEO of Whitmore Global." Ever heard of him? Elijah's stomach tightened. Of course he had. Whitmore Global had swallowed his primary competitor whole 6 months ago, driving his company to the brink. "I know him well," he said coldly. "Your father's tactics destroyed my business. And I have proof they were illegal," Eve replied, holding up the drive. "Fraud, bribery, tax evasion, the works." Elijah's phone buzzed. It was a stolen vehicle alert for his license plate. "They flagged my car," he said, showing her the screen. "He's going to find me," Eve muttered, panic rising. "Not if I have anything to say about it," Elijah said, a plan already forming in his mind. He restarted the car and turned down a side road. "Turn left up ahead," Eve instructed, scanning the mirrors. "There's an old family cabin. No one's used it in decades." Elijah followed her directions, driving into the woods until they reached a forgotten wooden structure nestled in thick vegetation. Inside, they wiped away dust and cobwebs. Elijah plugged the flash drive into his laptop. File after file loaded memos, contracts, emails. Then he froze. "What is it?" Eve asked. He turned the screen toward her. "This file outlines a coordinated attack on my company. Your father didn't just buy out the competition. He orchestrated a cyber attack on our servers, leaked data, and planted false stories to scare away investors." Eve closed her eyes. "I'm sorry. That's how he operates." Elijah shut the laptop. "We need help. Real help." The next day, they drove to a small office on the other side of the city. A faded sign read, "Rivera and Associates." "Are you sure about her?" Eve asked. "Yes. Maya Rivera was the only lawyer who believed in me when no one else would." Maya welcomed them into her modest office. In her early 40s, she exuded competence and calm. After scanning the documents, she looked up. "We finally have proof. But Harold Whitmore isn't just rich. He's entrenched. Judges, politicians, police. We're going to need more than a lawsuit." They brought in Zoe Tran, a cybersecurity expert and Maya's longtime friend. In a tiny apartment, the four of them began planning a coordinated strike. "Whitmore Global has government contracts. If we prove fraud in public procurement," Maya began. "Then not even his allies can protect him," Zoe finished. Eve smirked. "I have admin credentials. My father never trusted anyone else." "We'll need more than access," Elijah said. "We need him to confess." Publicly. For 2 weeks, they worked around the clock. Elijah sold his last valuable possession to buy equipment. Eve mapped the company's digital skeleton. Maya drafted airtight legal filings. Zoe built a secure data repository. Their first win came with emails confirming tax fraud. Then came the bribery logs, 3 judges, all bought. That evening, while Eve watched Elijah scroll through a spreadsheet, she asked softly, "Why are you doing this? You could have turned me in." "Because integrity matters more than revenge." She looked at him for a long time. "You could have been like him. Rich, powerful. They would never have let me in. Not with my skin." The following day, Harold Whitmore hosted a press conference to announce a major acquisition. In the back row stood Elijah, unnoticed. When the speech began, Zoe sent out a mass text, a link labeled "The Truth About Whitmore Global." Reporters' phones buzzed. On screens behind the podium, emails, memos, and financial statements began scrolling. Questions flew like arrows. "Mr. Whitmore, did your company sabotage tech core systems? What about bribing judges?" The blood drained from Whitmore's face. "Lies. Fabrications." Then the screen changed to a video. "My name is Evelyn Whitmore," Eve said in the recording. "This evidence proves years of criminal activity, discrimination, fraud, corruption." Federal agents entered the room. One stepped forward. "Mr. Whitmore, you're under arrest for tax fraud, bribery, and conspiracy to defraud the government." Elijah stepped forward. "This isn't just about my company. This is about every entrepreneur crushed because they didn't fit the mold." Whitmore hissed, "This isn't over." Maya replied calmly, "Already is." News of Whitmore's arrest went global. Investigation spread. 3 countries launched probes. Court rulings overturned. Settlements paid. 3 years later, Elijah stood on the rooftop of Horizon Innovations, his new tech incubator for marginalized entrepreneurs. With Maya as legal partner, Zoe as head of cybersecurity, and Eve as director of a foundation funding underrepresented founders, they had launched 17 startups and changed hundreds of lives. A reporter interviewed Elijah live. "What's your secret?" "No secret. Just a belief that real success is lifting others as you rise." Meanwhile, in a low-security prison, Harold Whitmore watched the interview with hollow eyes. His final appeal denied. His empire gone. His daughter working side by side with the man he once tried to destroy. Later that evening, Elijah and Eve stood on the office balcony. "Funny how it all began," she said. "With me in your trunk." "It wasn't fate," Elijah replied. "It was choice. Yours and mine." In that moment, the city below sparkled with possibilities. This wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about building a world where people wrote their own stories. A world where justice meant more than punishment, it meant progress. And the revolution had only just begun.